Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Maximum Effort over here. Today we are going to be listening and reacting to the most brutal and painful car accidents ever. So yeah, let's start. This is the donut incident.
Him, his morning had officially started. The only thing left for him to do was to get some breakfast. So he'd stop by a store to grab some donuts and coffee before taking off for work. And just like that, his morning was entirely complete. The man was sipping a coffee in one hand and biting a donut in the other.
How can he bite a donut in the other hand and drink his coffee in the other hand? How will he drive? Like if he's driving with the donut hand, I can even understand. But if he's driving with the coffee hand, won't it just spill all over?
For him, things really couldn't get any better than
Look,
this.
he's driving with the coffee hand. How does it not spill?
But somewhere between the first sip and the next bite, everything went sideways. Literally.
You know what would make this day better? Some music. Hey Siri, play some Diddy.
What Diddy? Diddy music? How? Why would he ask for Diddy music? Out of n number of musics, like many music, why did he choose Diddy music? Like Diddy music? What will Diddy music be? What?
Now playing Demi Lovato.
What? No. I said play Diddy, like, Puff Daddy?
Now playing Yeet.
I'll just do it myself.
While eating his donut, it'd slip out of his hands and knock over his coffee.
Oh, coffee burns.
In a panic
very
to stop
bad.
the spilling, he quickly
Hurts
reached
very
for the
bad.
beverage to steady
Why,
it.
is he holding
And just like
his
that,
roof?
in a split
What?
second, his car veered left to the opposite lane of traffic. I forgot to
he
mention
could-
that this
he
was
could-
all occurring in the middle of the highway, on an extremely busy Wednesday morning. And unfortunately, at 50 to 60 miles per hour, that's all it takes. His vehicle cut across the lane and slammed head-on into two westbound cars, completely flattening one in the
Bro, his
process.
eyes are-
The impact
oh
was
my
violent enough to
God,
leave
bro.
3 vehicles completely mangled
Wait,
and
it's
scatter their
like-
debris across the field of the road like an explosion. Witnesses said it was chaos. One driver was trapped inside their vehicle with crushed metal pinning them in place,
Damn.
while first responders worked frantically to cut them free. As for the flattened car, it sat in the ditch with its airbags blown out, windshield
Damn.
shattered, and frame completely crushed. When paramedics arrived at the scene, they worked desperately to extract the victims from the wreckage. They would even try to bring out the body in the flattened vehicle, and to their sheer horror, the victim was still alive.
Oh
The
my
crews would
God.
immediately transfer
It
both
will be
individuals
painful.
to the
It will
University
be
Hospital's
very
Georga
painful,
Medical
very
Center,
painful.
while a third refused further treatment. To everyone's total shock, all the victims in this accident survived with no life-threatening injuries. The man responsible was quickly identified and questioned. His rambunctious craving for donuts and coffee on the highway had turned a quiet Ohio road into a disaster scene. Police instantly cited him on the spot. Sometimes it's not speed or weather or a drunk driver that causes the crash. Sometimes it can simply just be a donut, so
A
don't
donut
drive
could
while
cause the
distracted.
Crash, bro.
35.
Damn.
Honestly, this one was a little too depressing, so I decided to take it out. Instead, for this incident, you can just look at this cute rabbit for a bit.
Why? 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 Why?
Hell Train. It was the evening rush on
Hell
February
Train.
3rd, 2015 in Valhalla,
Damn.
New York. Commuters boarded the Metro North train that was headed for the suburbs after a long day in Manhattan. At the same time, a 49-year-old mother from Edgemont was behind the wheel of her Mercedes
Mother.
SUV. She had just left work and was cutting through unfamiliar back roads due to an earlier accident on the highway. She approached the Commerce Street crossing, a dangerous grade-level track where warning lights flashed and gates descended. But instead of stopping, as you might have already guessed, her SUV ended up in the worst place possible, the tracks. Like any
Oh,
other normal
nah, she
person,
could, bruh.
you'd think that she would reverse her car out of harm's way, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Instead, she drove forward, accidentally stopping on the rails as the crossing gate came down behind her, pinning her vehicle into one place. She panicked quickly,
she
trying
could.
to find an escape, but without a second to react, headlights pierced the dark. The Metro North train, carrying hundreds of passengers, slammed into her SUV with catastrophic force.
Oh my
The
God.
impact drove the 5,000-pound
Oh my
vehicle nearly 1,000 feet up the tracks before ripping it apart. But that's only the beginning of what made this
That was
situation so
painful as
terrible.
hell.
When the train
I
impacted
cannot
her
bear
car,
that much
the rails
pain.
snapped off the ground
I feel
and
still
speared through
alive.
her
I
SUV,
feel very sad
right
for
into the
that.
train's passengers. These rails would shoot up from the floor and send fire and sparks
Damn.
exploding onto the passengers. The first carriage completely erupted into flames as metal debris tore through windows and seats like shrapnel. At the rear of the train, riders only felt a slight bump, but up at the front, it was a pure nightmare. Smoke filled the cars, people screamed, and sections of rail shot through the cabin like burning javelins.
What?
People desperately
Imagine
clawed at
rails
jam
getting
doors,
thrown
but
on
the
you.
heat was
Fire
unbearable
rails.
and too suffocating. The smell of burning seats, fuel, and flesh is all that survivors could
Oh my
remember when
God.
trying to escape.
The way
The
these
scene was
people make it
described as
show it
literal hell on a
It's
train.
very
When the
painful,
fire
like-
finally died down, 6 people were gone and 15 others were severely injured. The SUV was obliterated, and the train was left mangled and scarred by the flames. This remains the deadliest crash in Metro North Railroad's history, and the moral is as simple as it is brutal. When you're on the road,
Damn.
always be attentive and learn to react quickly. Most of the time, roads are actually pretty boring, and honestly, they don't really have crazy things like this happening all the time, but in the rare case you end up in a situation like this, be
Damn.
prepared and always
That is
act
horrifying.
fast.
Okay, sorry guys, it's just an ad.
Families, fans, and
Yeah,
journalists
guys,
gathered shoulder to shoulder,
I skipped
watching
the
the
ad.
24 hours of Le Mans. Cars from Mercedes, Jaguar, and Ferrari
Is that
screamed
F4
down the
or F1? I don't
straightaways,
know.
pushing limits that the track itself had never been designed to handle. Then came lap 35. Mike Hawthorne darted toward the pits, braking hard in front of the Austin Healey driver.
Damn.
Macklin swerved to avoid him, but in doing so, he moved directly
Good.
into the path of Pierre Levey, who was going at over 120 miles per hour. What happened next was
Nightmare
unfortunately
for him.
pure carnage. Levey's car struck Macklin's rear end and was
Oh.
launched into the air like a missile. The man's car
damn,
literally
man.
started flying,
Oh
and of
my
course,
God,
it'd
if
be
I
aimed at
imagine
nothing
it
other
going
than
there.
tightly packed crowds of bystanders enjoying their favorite cars racing on the track. The Mercedes would smash into the spectator in front of the grandstand, and on impact, it would immediately disintegrate. The car's heaviest components, like
hell.
the engine block, suspension, and radiator, tore free and hurled into the crowd with the force of artillery shells,
Oh, yeah,
obliterating
he's
dozens
good,
on
yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
However, the worst part was the hood. It was sharp, silver, and launched out of the car the fastest, making it form a spinning motion like a saw blade. The hood would fly into the crowd and sever the heads of multiple spectators
damn.
watching in the stands.
They're cooked.
Survivors would later describe this scene as
Oh
the
my
hood
God.
decapitating tightly jammed spectators like a guillotine.
Oh yeah.
By the time the
Sorry.
smoke cleared, at least 82 people were gone, and hundreds more were injured.
God.
This event would later on become known as the 1955 Le Mans disaster, and it would remain the most catastrophic accident in racing history. A little fun fact about this event is that the organisers wouldn't allow the race to stop. They'd ensure that the drivers kept competing so that the venue didn't ensue into a mass panic and block medical responders from being able to enter in. This event would be so shocking to the world at the time that multiple countries across Europe banned motorsports
Damn.
altogether until safety standards could be improved. No matter how exciting or important something feels in the moment, it's never worth risking lives by ignoring safety. One bad decision can hurt not just you, but everyone around you.
Damn.
Don't speed, don't be distracted while driving, and always drive safely. With that being said, have a happy day.
Okay guys, I guess that's the end of the video. The way these people showed it felt very painful and brutal. So I guess it's the end of the video. See you guys in the next video. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Peace.